Okay, this will be a much faster video than my previous one because this is just one build. But Volt is my most favorite frame. So this is the build I use for level capping. It's a weapons platform level cap that just survives off of the shield gating. Um, the main thing we're doing is taking advantage of Shock Trooper and using Roar over the 4. So we're surviving entirely off of the electric shield and blocking hits and just using it as a front shield, as you can see from the video. That's what I can do. And it also doubles the crit damage multiplier of whatever weapon multiplicatively. So if you have a crit damage multiplier of like 7, it'll become 14. So we have another auger mod on the pistol, so we have a 230% conversion, and we're using Arcane Aegis to help with that. Equilibrium is how we keep our energy up, and then Rolling Guard just to have another form of immunity and survival. We're also running Mazarin to further help with survival, just dashing through ourselves through that longer immunity if needed. Alright, the main thing, Shock Trooper was changed with Techron Encore, but it is now additive with Elementalist instead of like it was prior to 1999, where it just was basically an electric mod. So with Burst On, we have raw corrosive, but we have the Stormbringer 90% electric, so that when electric procs do happen, they're going to scale off of this 90% electric, even though it's combined, and they'll benefit from Shock Trooper. And so Elementalist, we don't need it, and we're not really focused on it because this is more of a raw damage setup. This you can replace with the bladed rounds if you wish. That would help. That would get your crit damage higher. This is a very good Riven. It's hard to beat, but the Burst On doesn't need it. You'll kill a little slower, but this is a very, very strong weapon, especially if you're going for the headshots. So we're not worried about status effects too much. We like the benefit of corrosive, but this is a raw setup, so the total damage, it says 6,000. It's not really, because we're going to be getting Deadhead, and we're going to be getting this massive 350% with augmented fully stacked electric damage. So that's a huge, like, just raw boost. And then we're also getting the double crit damage from the Volt Shield. So this goes from 5.2 to 10.4, and then we're orange critting. So that's 19.6x multiplier because of how they add. It's -1 from the total, and then added back into itself. So the Exilis mod, I like to be pretty fast. I like to just aim really quick and shoot, and feeling that speed is the entire reason I play Volt. It's the selling point of them, you know, like really just run and gun. Vigilante supplies, that'll increase your DPS slightly, very nice. Not much else worth running if you're using Deadhead. If you don't want to use Deadhead, Stabilizer becomes another option. Twitch, pretty good. That's about it for that, though. You could put Hush if you want. It's kind of interesting because then enemies won't immediately look at you. Epitaph, this is for viral priming for Burst On. Burst On's the single target killer. This will kill the demos. And then Epitaph just helps make it a little faster with the viral and magnetic and heat procs. Augur Seeker just to keep the procs on there a little longer, and all that. The cold procs are also very, very nice against demolishers because it slows them down a lot, and this forces cold procs on hit. And then Fortifier helps us survive more. The Exilis, you can run Reflex Draw if you want. Lethal Momentum helps just get the projectiles to land a bit quicker. Not much else worth running over any of that. Those are the two I recommend. Lethal Momentum is probably what I use most often. I like to use Okina more times than not. This can kill crowds very easily just because of influence. We're using Galvanized Elementalist just because of the extra status chance, and it's just really convenient. No attack speed mod, because Bolts 2 is attack speed, and it's a lot of attack speed. So that reload speed is the same melee attack speed bonus. So this is 75% attack speed, which is, I think, probably closer to 80% once this gets stacked all the way up. But that's a lot, so we don't really need to mod for it on the Arcana. The range is very nice for the evolutions. This is the main selling point of it. There's not many sources of movement speed. Sprint speed we're getting from Amalgam Serration. Movement speed is multiplicative in total movement with that. It's additive with Wisp's motes. So if you're running with Wisp, you might want to use Praetos instead if you're just selfish about speed. But Volts 2 is a third completely separate multiplier. It's a direct velocity multiplier. It boosts all of your, like, just the distance that you cover in your movements. So that's why we want the movement speed with the sprint speed. For alternatives for weapons, we can run something like Bubonico as like a primary primer if you wanted to use something like the Furus, which is really good with this Evo. What is it? This one, where you can get even more multi-shot from the electricity. So then you can build corrosive using the primed 165% electric mod, and then put the toxin 60/60, so you get corrosive, and then you'll just be getting the raw electric procs from his from Shock Trooper, and then you'll get to benefit from the electricity status. So that's a huge DPS multiplier over this Evo. The Overshields one. Ooh, oh boy. And then you have other options. You could do Toxicist like that, or you could do Sicarus. Sicarus is incredibly powerful. I'm sure many people have realized that. And then if you want to do Rivenless, I like to do Phantasma. Phantasma is very strong. Again, this is additive with Shock Trooper now, but it's still worth it because just we're entirely focused on the status damage of this gun, and it's a beam, so Shotgun Vendetta. It's insane how much damage this thing gets to put out. We're not too worried about like the electricity weighting, especially with Shock Trooper. We're gonna get plenty of viral procs from this just because it's gonna put it out really quick. But just this is absurd status chance because we also have to multiply this with the modded multi-shot. So we're getting like 200-300% per tick, which is crazy. And then of course you can always run Match Star if you want something else to clear rooms, and now you have this single target thing, and then you can run Epitaph like this, and that's great. And then Akicore with electricity is also very good. It's great damage. And then you can run Innervate, and then use this as a way to clear acolytes and all that. So here's your single target user group clearing, and then this is just acolytes. It's all options. It's all just whatever you want to do. Falcor and Zorus, they're pretty much the same weapon. These are also great. Very standard stuff, just shocking touch to get that electric damage up. And then for companions, if you wanted like do solo and level cap, Worm Prime is invaluable due to sacrifice, negate, very helpful. It allows you to run the calculated redirection to get reinforced bond. You don't even need this at max level. You could do like level 4 or 5, something like that, and it would still proc reinforced bond just because of how much shield this Worm Prime has. And then of course Tenacious Bond, very handy, like a lot. I use Volt Rock I don't really care about my guy shooting, so this is my vigilante stick pretty much, and then point strike level just enough so that we can get the crit chance high enough. And then that's pretty much it with Volt. The shards, very standard setup, just 2 strength shards, 2 energy max shards, and a cast speed. This is mostly for comfort. You could put the violet shards on if you want. You can do the equilibrium violet shards. You could do the electricity damage violet shards. You could put 2 cast speed shards. It's very customizable in this regard. You could do corrosive strip shards, and then burst on would get a lot more total damage by just proccing 14 electric procs, or my bad, corrosive procs, and then you wouldn't really need the heat from Epitaph, so you could change this out for a different mod. But there's a lot of flexibility for weapons. You're just focused mostly on electric procs and trying to take advantage of the electric shield. Phantasma doesn't crit much, but it doesn't hurt. And then the entire reason to play him is just to take advantage of the speed, and then Roar's just more damage. Huzzah! So that's everything I wanted to go over for what I do for level capping. Again, this is mostly for Disruption. That's the primary mode I play. It's also good in Cascade, and I do try to play with others, just to, it's more fun with other people. So being able to run through rooms with the speed, you're almost never touched. So the survivability really isn't that bad, especially with others. So thanks for watching. That's all I have to say.